From being nestled in the mountains of Austria, we fly 5,850 miles all the way over to California for round 2 of the Greddy Cooper Z League here with NXTGEN. I'm JackTM53 Synopsis, your commentator on Thursday nights for consoles here with NXTGEN, and we are around this magnificent Laguna Seca circuit, a challenge certainly in these Fugu Z cars, no doubt, as you can see a couple of drivers already finding that corner at turn 10 very difficult. But we are in practice at the moment, and it's a chance for the drivers to get around the circuit, get some miles in, and understand how this rear-wheel drive car operates and handles efficiently around what is a very challenging circuit. We're following Ruddo 24 at the moment of practice, and whilst we do that, we're going to run through these championship standings after the first set of races last week in Austria. So, looking at it from last week in terms of the Greddy Fugu Championship, Ruddo 24 is leading the way on 43 points. He won both races in the Fugu and in the Mini, of course, so he's got 43 points. Swargy 98 is second on 34 points, with Bruce Lee Hardin third on 31. Matty Rudd is fourth on 28. D Hartley is fifth on 22, tied with JPH and Snav. Silver Fox 40 is eighth on 19, Rin 16, and Tim on 14. There are other championships running within the overall championship. There's a championship category for each car. I'll run you through the top 5 from those. Ruddo obviously leads the Greddy Fugus, he's on 22. Swargy on 19 points in second, Matty Rudd third, Bruce Lee Hardin fourth, and JPH fifth. They were finished in those results. And from the Minis, Ruddo is again leading that championship on 21 points. Bruce Lee Hardin 18, Swargy 15, D Hartley 13, and Matty Rudd also on 13 after getting the point for fastest lap as well. So drivers certainly are going to have a chance at upsetting the apple cart today around this American track. It's a circuit steeped in history, of course, as Ruddo just runs past one of the debut entrants for tonight as we just throw our car through turn 3, then through turn 4 as Ruddo comes towards it, chucks the car in. Nicely done. You see how the Fugu leans on those racing super soft tyres, through a little kink at turn 5, and then on the brakes down into turn 6. Realistically, I said before it was turn 10 coming up here, it's actually turn 7, so retract that statement from earlier on, but that seems to be a sticking point for some of the drivers through here at the moment, through turn 7. And as I was about to go further on into this, we are kicking off qualifying in the next couple of seconds. Certainly going to be a fascinating contest in store. Hello to all of those drivers that have joined already in terms of watching. So the timer, so I think there's a little bit of an issue here, unless I'm completely wrong. I'd be surprised if I wasn't. At the moment we have Matty Rudd in first place without having had a qualifying session, and a couple of drivers are in the Minis. So I think there's going to be a bit of a reset in terms of the lobby. There should be shortly. Everyone charges off into the lead. Let's just have a check to see what Jordan is up to currently. Naturally, he's right at the back and has left, so everyone will be told to exit. But Matty Rudd gets his chance to have a little run out in the front. You can see his purple number 28. Very vivid colours that you can see as the cars come round, and a few people just running around at the moment. Snav amazingly still in the Mini in 11th. Probably not in the right car. There you go, Jordan just saying everyone exit for obvious reasons. Haven't even ran a qualifying session, so that will be sorted shortly. So Matty Rudd probably doesn't want to give up his race lead. So he's probably going to be the last one to leave. It's just Ruddo and Matty both need to leave. A bit of a corner cut penalty for Matty Rudd there. There we go. So we're just watching Matty running round the penultimate corner just after Rainy Curve. Wonder if he's just realised that would be the best time. It's a good time to get a bit of practice in, impromptu practice really, as he's crossed the line. And there we go. Now we've moved forward. So I'm sure Jordan this time will get the lobby set and ready. Evening to Jordan on that matter. So I'm sure qualifying will be setting momentarily. But we can see there's a couple of new drivers in the league, some familiar faces for those that have watched the past streams. Of course, you'll be familiar with some of the names, but they're new to the championship. I'll introduce them shortly. It's going to be very curious to see how the drivers have improved following on from that opening round last week around the Red Bull Ring, now here in Laguna Seca. Just checking to see the drivers coming out on circuit. I'm sure that Jordan will be updating the settings as we do that. You can see Hartley just getting in as much practice as he can. There's Ruddo, there's Bruce Lee as well, running that Fredo car as he goes sideways through turn number 3. And there we go. Now it kicks itself over and everybody can enter shortly into the lobby. There we go, that'll be perfect now. So 10 minutes of qualifying upcoming then. It has begun. First driver out, it looks like it is Matty Rudd who is out first, which is good news for him. As Jordan just noting there, 10 minutes qualifying starting now. This very unique purple livery from Matty Rudd is actually side by side with his brother there as he goes through turn 3. Indeed, JPH, you have sent those through. Already done the tables. Chance to do them very quickly. There's Hartley. Swargy, ooh, a bit wide coming out of turn 4. There's Bruce Lee Harding in the Fredo. Fredo stickered Fugu there. There's Tim back again. Hope to see some improvements from Tim. Suburtis in the championship for the first round. He missed last week. Unfortunately, he has entered, but it's good to see him in the championship. He's got a bright yellow and black car, and he's very nicely. He's actually running my my logo on his bonnet there, which is very kind of him. There's Suburtis, Dutch driver. See how he gets on. He's definitely shows a good turn of pace at times, Suburtis. Whatever he can do in this championship, we'll soon see. Silver Fox Ford, he's got an updated livery in the Fugu as well. Number 22 is a lovely livery, I have to say. Really impressive. I like that a lot. He's gone for a bit of Dr. Pepper motif. He's also very kindly running my logo as well. Very, very nice of him. It's Hartley there. Danzo making his debut in the championship tonight. Popular driver within NXTGEN, of course. Running a black and white scheme, obviously representing Newcastle United Football Club. He's a big fan. Let's see how he gets on. Welcome back to the championship for Naif 1981. He's been a very long time member of NXTGEN as Naif. He's been here since I'd argue to go back into season 1 of NXTGEN when it was first developed and created by Phil Humphreys. So wonderful to see him in the championship on Thursdays. Hopefully he'll have a good set of events tonight. There's JPH as well in the Boyd Transport car. You see him just kicking the car's tail out through turn 2. Ooh, a bit of a wiggle as he comes out of the corner, but great car control. JPH running the updated liveries and logos there, which is nice to see. There's Rin back again, and that's a nice livery. Rin, he's created there as he goes sideways through turn 4. A nice livery from Rin there. Had a plain white one from last time out, but he's got it nicely done. Updated Nismo stickers on there. And then there's Snav back in the Betty Swallocks racing cars. He chucks it through the right-hander there. So let's go on board with Ruddo then. He's already set the initial pace on a 26.3. The first set lap. He comes through turn 1, this quick left-hander, and then on the brakes down into what would be most likely third gear. For some drivers, they like to keep the car in the lower bands there in terms of the power. Then coming into turn 3, Ruddo again keeping it in third gear, just keeping the tail under wraps, and then I'm assuming it'll be the same again through third gear at turn 4. Nice and smooth, runs a little bit wide on the exit curve, but he'll get away with that as he approaches what now will be turn 5 on the brakes, down into turn 3 and 5 into third gear, swings the car over the curb. It's been nice and smooth so far as the approach to turn 6. Difficult left-hander, got to flick it over the curb, which he has done it. Fourth gear, oh, he's clipped the curb, and round goes Ruddo. And we'll follow on board with Matty then instead, up towards the most famous corner in arguably the whole of America. Through the corkscrew, chucks the car over the hill. Nicely done from Matty Rudd. Then through Rainy Curve, this left-hander, really difficult corner to get right, and Matty just misses the apex on the inside. Then into the penultimate corner, another tricky line to get right, but Matty keeps it in fourth gear, a little bit higher than most would expect, and then on the brakes down into third gear. Will he go to second? He doesn't. He keeps it in third, wants to keep the tail under check as he comes out that final corner. So Matty Rudd will have watched his sibling fall off the track, and he does a 26.6, just a tenth slower than the initial pace set by Ruddo, who's just recovering at the moment. What about Bruce Lee? He's not going to improve on this lap, and Swargy hasn't either. There's JPH there in 5th place after the initial run-ins. Danzo just coming along to the final corner in his Batman car. He's gone deep at the final corner, and round he's actually gone and into the wall. Silver Fox 40 looks like he's improved a little bit. Bertus has moved up into 5th place. Here comes JPH now down into that final corner. He's in second gear. See the difference between himself and Ruddo. So Naif getting sideways out of the final corner as well. But what about JPH? He doesn't improve. Snav, he's got a penalty he's picked up around the circuit. And Naif set a 32.2. Everyone having a bit of difficulty on the second lap as Tim moves himself up into 12th position. Rin improves. He moves himself back in front of Tim. These two were relatively close in the last week's events in terms of racing together, setting relatively similar lap times, Rin and Tim. Let's see how they get on around this much more technical circuit. But Ruddo does have to try and fight back. We've got less than 5 minutes to go in the session now, just approaching 4 minutes left. So Ruddo will be hoping to try and extend his gap, not just in the championship, but in this qualifying session too. Matty Rudd comes towards the line. It's not going to be an improvement from him. What about Swargy? He does make an improvement and moves himself into 3rd place. He gets himself in the 26s. Bruce Lee a bit sideways out that final corner. He's not improved on this lap. Drivers finding it very difficult, and Bertus has gone off in the yellow hat liveried car. JPH just a bit further back. Silver Fox 40 not improving on this lap. D Hartley, he does improve up to 5th place. A good effort from the 79. That dark blue livery that he runs. Really nicely designed car, I have to say. JPH is looking like he could be on an improvement, is he? Not quite. Another 28 from him. The drivers just try and pick their way around the circuit. There's Danzo in 10th place. Oh, he's a little bit sideways coming out of turn 2. Just about held the car together. Naif makes his personal best, and Rin improves as well. Into the 32s, not too far away from Naif there. And Tim keeping the car on track. Ooh, as he gets sideways coming out of turn 2. It's a very difficult car to drive this, especially around Laguna Seca with the racing super soft tyres. Certainly no easy feat to keep it on the track, and that's going to be part of the challenge in the race. Is the drivers who win potentially or get podium positions, it's not going to be based on pure speed. We've seen Ruddo already go off on one of his initial laps. Let's see as he comes towards the line. Will he improve? He doesn't. Just a touch slower. But it's all going to be about that balance of performance, keeping the car on the track and at a decent speed, not making any errors. You can see Matty Rudd, Swargy's gone round. Bruce Lee didn't improve on that lap. D Hartley won't improve either. Subertus coming towards the line, he doesn't. JPH has got Danzo all over the back of him, so either JPH's overtaken Danzo or Danzo's caught JPH. I doubt it though, because JPH looks like he's on a good lap, and he is. He goes into the 27s That's a good effort from the Boyd Transport backed driver. I think Danzo had gone off on that lap looking at it. I know he set a personal best himself, so Danzo 4 seconds off the pace, but again, you know, these drivers, whoa, and Danzo clipping the curb, round he goes at turn number 3. That's unfortunate. Nath just keeping it on the tarmac at the minute. Oh, he's actually returned to the pits, so couple of minutes to go. Drivers coming up towards potentially their last laps now. As Matty Rudd comes round this final corner. You see the difference. Some drivers using third gear out that final corner, some using second. Matty won't improve. Swargy, he improves and he goes provisional pole. Great effort, 26 flat from Swargy. Ruddo improves, but he's not quite dethroned Swargy from pole position. So Ruddo, he's got this last lap to effectively get himself back into pole position. I see Rudd, Tim apologising. Something's gone out on circuit there. Something went wrong for him. Here comes JPH with what I imagine could be his final lap. He chucks it through the final corner in second gear compared to the front runners. And what lap time is this going to be as he comes toward the line? He doesn't improve. It's 28 on that one. D. Hartley, he's coming round the first sector. See if there's any improvements from D. Hartley at the moment. He is. He's going a tenth quicker. Keeps that up around the lap. He could overtake JPH, but it's very close at the moment between the midfield pack from 5th backwards. Cerbertus there, he's only a couple of tenths off the pace. There's Silver Fox 40, Snav as well. So a couple of fights in the championship going on at the moment. Danzo, qualifying is finished, so Snav would have been the first person to see the flag, but he's not going to be. So it's Matty Rudd, as you see, Swargy all over the circuit, lighting up the rear tyres. Matty Rudd isn't going to improve by the looks of things. Swargy doesn't either. Bit of a car park going on at the finish line there. What about Ruddo? He's not going to improve. He isn't improving. Bruce Lee is the wrong way round, coming at the final corner. Unfortunate for him. JPH has obviously seen the flag. Who else is out on track? It's D. Hartley and Cerbertus. These are the last 2 drivers who can improve, but I think that Cerbertus has... I don't think he's going to improve enough to dethrone Swargy. There's no improvement either. D. Hartley, he won't improve either. So that is everybody then who has set a lap time as the cars and drivers do a couple of donuts. But it is Swargy 98 who's on pole position for the first race tonight. Swargy saying it's the only good lap that he did, and you can see the difference in lap time if you look at the right hand side, everybody. The drivers' lap times are shown, and you can see the only time that he did it outside of his pole position lap was on lap 4. So inconsistencies will need to be worked on during the race itself. Ruddo, again, on the front row, championship leader, looking to extend his advantage not just in the Greddy championship and the mini championship, but also the overall tally. Matty Rudd lines up on the second row with Bruce Lee Harding. Someone is still in the pit lane. JPH just coming towards what would be turn number 6. It's D. Hartley, Bertus there in 7th place. Good effort for Cerbertus on his first start in the championship. It's quite impressive. As well, Danzo in 10th place. There's Nath, he's just coming out of the pit lane now. The drivers are just moments away from the race starting. See how they get on. Tim bringing up the rear of the grid. I think Nath may have realised that there's a bit of an error on the car that he's driving, so hopefully we can get that sorted for at least the minis. So we now wait for the first race of the evening. We wait for the man that is JPH 99, whose ghost has taken over and has taken us on a casual lap of Laguna Seca underneath that WeatherTech bar signage up there. I think JPH is giving Nath a chance to just get himself set up, make sure he's got the car in the right settings. Doesn't want to be down on power, doesn't want to be overweight in terms of the car ballast either. Obviously these Greddys have to use the super soft tyres to make sure that they can keep that power on the circuit. See the Fugu very light on the minimum settings, and we are just waiting to make sure that all the drivers are ready and set up. You can see JPH just launching in second gear there, and now going to try it in first gear, and there you go. You can see the difference between the two launches there, between first gear and second. A lot more wheel spin in that first gear setup, but in second gear you can see it pulled away quite nicely, and that could make a key difference in the race in terms of the race start. But we'll see if anybody does pick up on that. But the race is starting now. JPH has kicked things off in just a few moments time. Here we go then, into the race at Laguna Seca. So it's Swargy on pole position again in the white, red and black car on the left hand side. There is Ruddo on the right hand side, the championship leader. He's in that black car. Watch out for Matty Rudd and Bruce Lee Harding on the second row of the grid. And rather annoyingly, we can't really see the lights, so we'll have to guess and hope of when the race actually starts. And we're away here at Laguna Seca. Looks like a good start from Ruddo. It looks like he's got himself up the inside already as they approach turn one, and he has done. He should be able to get that position solidified coming into turn two. He sort of pushes Swargy out a little bit and keeps that position. Look at Matty Rudd trying to make a move up the inside. He gets through. A little bit of contact between the two. Swargy sticks it out. He keeps that second place. That was important for him in terms of keeping on the back of Ruddo. There's Bruce Lee. Great camera shot. This is fantastic. That's Nath up to 10th place there. Rin and Tim at the background fighting over the position for 12th place. Silver Fox 40 up into 6th. D Hartley's gone backwards in 7th place. There's Snav in 8th. Suburtis backwards in 9th in the yellow hat car. And Nath rounds out the top 10. There's Dando in 11th, just a little bit sideways. Rin and Tim basically joined together at the moment. But frantic and frenetic opening start. Here comes Silver Fox 40 up the inside through turn 7. Can he make it stick? I don't think he'll have the momentum. He doesn't quite. But he's still there up the inside. Will he try and make a late lunge into the corkscrew? Hits the back of JPH. Oh, that was very late from D Hartley, who flies off into the gravel trap. And he's going to lose a whole host of places, as does Silver Fox 40, who moves. Oh, that's Bursis has taken a very peculiar line. He's gone off at Rainy Curve. That's allowed Rin to move into the top 10. As Burtis, there's Tim in the recovery and D Hartley, who just got his braking zone wrong, or could have potentially been nudged there. We haven't quite seen it, but he is way, way down off the back of the pack. Ruddo, though, has escaped at the front. He's 2.7 seconds to the good. There's Swargy, and then there's two cars fighting side by side. It's Matty Rudd and Bruce Lee Harding. Matty Rudd just keeping that position. Little twitch going into turn 2 for Bruce Lee. It's got to be something to be wary of the drivers. This car will light itself up if it's not attended to properly. Then there's JPH, Snav. Nath's up to 7th. Great opening gambit from him. Really good effort from the debutant. It's Silver Fox 40. It's Suburtis. These two renewing a rivalry from a few seasons ago. Danzo's right there as well. Rin in 11th. Tim 12th. And D Hartley just starting to make a bit of inroad into Tim. But Tim running around in 12th place. No mean feat. And already the gaps have separated out. You can see Snav and Nath together in the middle of the pack, fighting over 6th position. The Betty Swallock's car a bit sideways from Nath, just in the background through turn 7. There's JPH, who's joined his family member of Bruce Lee, and these two together on track pretty much. Matty Rudd and Swargy still in 2nd and 3rd, but a great opening lap from Ruddo as we see a potential swap of positions further down. It's Snav and Nath really giving each other a good fight. Let's ride on board with Nath as we come into turn the final corner. Tries to swing the car in, get on the power a little bit earlier. Nice and smooth in 2nd gear from Nath, has to be said. He's going to have the slipstream, but he's going to have to do this a long way round. I can't imagine Snav will give him the inside, which he doesn't. Goes towards turn number 2 on the brakes. Down through turn 2. Oh, Snav just runs it a little bit wide to stop Nath from getting the momentum running outside. But look at Nath's run, was fantastic as he approached turn 3. Chuck the car in. Whoa, Nathan just looking for every possible angle he can, but he can't quite squeeze his way through. Snav's gone off at the turn number 4 though. Will he get an opportunity, Nath, here to go to the inside? Snav defends it. On the brakes, down into 3rd gear, through the long left-hander at turn 6, but again, Snav just holds his ground, and he doesn't get through. There's Suburtus, Silver Fox 40, Danzo, Rin, D. Hartley's up to 12th, Tim is back there in 13th place, but Ruddo just keeping his advantage for the time being in the opening 4 minutes. Swargy in 2nd, picked up a penalty somewhere around the corkscrew. Matty Rudd, then it's Bruce Lee, then it's JPH. Snav's just got a little gap to Nath. Maybe Nath had a little bit of a moment coming out of turn 7, a corner that's catching everybody else out so far. Suburtus, despite going flying off the track at Rainy Curve on lap 1, he's now back into 8th place. And look at this fight again between Snav and Nath. They're holding each other up, a treat for the Dutch driver. You see how defensive Snav is. Nath trying to prise the door open, but he just can't get through. Snav goes to the inside. Nath's going to have to try and work it around the outside for this one. Will he try a different tactic this time around? He does. He tries to dart one up the inside and he gets his way through. But he's run a bit deep. A little bit of contact and round goes Nath, unfortunately. Snav didn't really have anywhere to go. A little bit unfortunate. I know there was a bit of contact between the two that sent Nath round. Might be one for the stewards at the moment, but for me, we carry on. Snav keeps 6th position. There's Suburtus, the Dutch driver, 7th. Silver Fox 40's 8th. Danzo 9th. There's Hartley in 10th. Rin's 11th. Nathan in 12th position, which he won't be too pleased about, but he was on his way around. Was a little bit sideways coming out of the corner at that point, but that could be argued in the stewards' room. But there's still over 3 courses of this race to go, and we've seen Nathan's got some speed, so let's see how he gets on. Tim there running round in 13th. The gap between Ruddo hasn't changed. And where is Matty Rudd? He's down in 4th place. He's gone off on the lap, and that's brought him into the clutches of JPH on the brakes down into the final corner. Matty a little bit deep. Oh, JPH couldn't get the run out the corner that he needed. Let's have a look on this lap. He has gone, I think he's gone round a 1:33.3 from Matty Rudd. That's brought Bruce Lee into 3rd place on for a podium. Well, Matty Rudd making a little bit of a mistake, and it's going to take a little bit of time just to get his confidence back up. This car, once you make a couple of mistakes, starts to just play games with the driver. That's Bruce Lee very wide coming out of turn number 3 there. Lives to fight another day. Snav still holding on to 6th place. He's got Bertus and Silver Fox all over the back of him. A nice trio here. D. Hartley's got inside the top 10. He's up to 9th. A 28.3. We have a look at the times of the drivers in front of him. He is quicker than them currently, but they're all stuck behind Snav. So it's down to Hartley to make his opportunity pay if he can keep this pace up. Danzo running well in 10th. Inside that top 10, there's Rin and Nath now. Spent a lot of time with Nath already in this event, but he is the man trying to make the moves. Will he go for a move up the inside at turn 7? He thought about it. Oh, Rin's a little bit wide. Has he kept it on the circuit? It looks like he has. Good car control from the Maltese. He's kept it on the road. I have to say, quite pleased with Rin so far. It's definitely showed a marked improvement from last week in terms of raw pace, a 31.6. Not too far away from Danzo. That's good progress. And Nave is fantastic to watch in this Fugu. Getting a lot of screen time at the moment. And see how his progress goes. He's had a full lap to himself. Let's just see his pace actually, where he is compared to everybody else. Is this going to be a 28? It is. 28.7. Which would put him pretty much in the ballpark of Suburtus and co. Maybe a bit quicker than that. Oh, that's Matty Rudd wide. Kicking up the gravel / sand effectively around this Californian circuit. It's definitely a surface that you can get away with if you kick it up. It's not like grass. You can kind of get away with it if you go through it. But it is slippery, and the drivers have to remember that. Two drivers, though, running away with it at the front, Ruddo and Swargy at the moment. So you see JPH just a little bit loose through Laguna Seca's infamous corkscrew. But he keeps it on the tarmac, which is exactly what he needs to do. Swargy just can't quite make any inroads at the moment on Ruddo. He's got the fastest lap of the race. Well, he did have until Ruddo decided otherwise. So it's down to a battle between them two now in the case of keeping it on the circuit. They've both got quite a handy gap to Bruce Lee, but Bruce Lee doesn't have a handy gap at all. He's got Matty Rudd all over the back of him. On the brakes down into turn 2. You see Bruce Lee just hugging the inside curb. Got a nice angle to keep the car in a straight line there. You can see JPH watching on board with him going through turn 3. Got a great run to JPH, but he can't squeeze his car through. Silver Fox 40 in the meantime up into 6th place. Bertus has gone backwards. And look at this now, Matty Rudd on the outside as they come towards turn number 6. Is he going to try and go around the outside? He can't, but he's going to try and do the switchback. That looks like a clean move, and he has done indeed. But look at JPH fighting for his first podium of the season. Will he try and keep it on the inside for turn 7? They go side by side. Through goes JPH, but Bruce Lee fights back, and Bruce Lee gets up to 4th. Will he have the momentum to get past JPH? Not quite. Great racecraft between these three. Really clean and respectable. Bruce trying to go around the outside of the corkscrew. He just goes over the curb. And into the gravel slightly, and that's Matty Rudd back through and into 4th position. Great fighting between these three drivers, absolutely superb. Silver Fox, he's in 6th, there's Bertus in 7th, just a brief respite from the guys fighting for that 3rd place. There's D Hartley, there's Snav in 9th, he's gone backwards. There's Danzo and Nath in 11th position, so Nath hasn't found his way back past just yet. But it's JPH in 3rd position. On the brakes is Matty Rudd. Matty Rudd certainly looking super fast at the moment. Sort of finds himself in a similar situation to last week where he was exceptionally quick but just lost out in the initial stages in those opening laps, and it's found him over 12 seconds away from the fight for first. And Matty Rudd not going to be giving up in his pursuit. If he can get a podium, he would not say no to that. Looks to the outside line going through. He's going to try and go round the outside at turn 6. This is a fantastic move from Matty Rudd. He's got the momentum and he's going to go through. That's a fabulous overtake. This is only the 2nd round in the Fugus, but that's overtake of the season so far. That was outstanding from Matty Rudd round the outside at turn 6. Excellent manoeuvre. And JPH will be a little bit annoyed with himself. He won't like that, having been overtaken round the outside. But there's still 8.5 minutes remaining. Oh, JPH almost off at Rainy Curve. You can see JPH prefers much more to flick the car through the corners. Let's just see the different driving techniques. 3rd gear for Matty, 2nd for JPH, 2nd for Bruce Lee. Oh, JPH giving it absolutely everything possible to get into 3rd position. There's Silver Fox. He's got Suburtus just behind him. And there's D Hartley. D Hartley and Bertus have crossed paths before in the McGanns in Lobby 2 many moons ago now, but these two will know each other well. And let's have a look at the lap times. Bertus and Hartley just sort of lapping in a similar bracket at the moment. Snav, who went off on lap 5, that's why he's tumbled down the order to 9th, and Nath is up to 10th. So opportunities beckon for him. He's gone a bit deep at turn 2 though. That won't help his cause. Even Danzo with him as well. Danzo into the 28s. And Rin in the 30. And if I have to say, if he's done that lap time twice in one lap, that's incredible. If he's done that at 30.776. There's Tim. I think he's been lapped at this point. But I think for Tim, key point is going to be just getting used to the car around these difficult twisting circuits. Make sure he doesn't make any mistakes. We've barely seen Ruddo at the front. He's flying round currently. No issues for him at present. He just needs to keep doing what he's doing for the next 7 minutes. As does Swargy. Matty Rudd's just opened up a gap to JPH. You can see JPH sideways again. It's great to watch. Now look at Bruce Lee. He's trying to go around the outside. He's sideways for the final corner. Gonna lose a lot of momentum with that, but that was great car control from the Freddo man himself. Loses a bit of momentum coming off the corner, and the two family members fighting it out now. I've lost 2 seconds almost to Matty Rudd, who will be glad that those two are fighting. It means he can concentrate and get away from them. These two having a great time. Speaking of great times, Bertus trying to get past Silver Fox 40. At the moment, the Dutch driver trying to find a route through. He's got a good exit, but he's not quite alongside enough to make a lunge into turn 4. D. Hartley, there's Snav as well. Oh, Danzo's gone off at turn number 4, it looks like. I think he's put a wheel on the curb into the wall. Batman has got to get himself back onto the circuit. Look at Rin coming up towards him. Can he take advantage? He's just going to lose out a little bit of momentum to Danzo. Danzo almost going off the track. It's a peculiar line. But Rin and Danzo together on circuit again. That's Tim just moving out the way of our fight for the 3rd and 4th, 5th placings. It seems to have pulled itself back together again. JPH has pulled the gap back to Matty Rudd. Just have a look at the lap times. Definitely looks like JPH's on a quicker lap. 27.9 from Matty and a 27.5 from JPH. So a little bit quicker that time. And Bruce Lee 27.9. At the moment they're not stuck together. Unlike Fordy and Bertus, what can these two do? Can Bertus try and make a move? He's got a good run coming towards turn 1. They flick through that now. Will he make a lunge at turn 2? He's left the door open as Fordy. And Bertus breaks a little bit later and Fordy gives him the space. And through goes the Dutch driver into 6th. But this is great momentum from Ford. He's going to send it back up the inside at turn number 3. Side by side through turn 3. And he just keep it clean enough to get through. And that is Fordy up into 6th place again. But Bertus has got the momentum back. And look at this. On the inside, coming towards turn 6 on the brakes, down into 3rd gear. Bertus gets the move done. Will Fordy get a bit of momentum this time towards turn 7? He won't. And Bertus up into that 6th place. He's been working hard to get that. Doesn't want to throw it away by throwing it off the track at turn 7. Hartley's been caught by Snav. Oh, the driver's having a lot of fun in the Fugu at the moment. Nafe's actually just lapping Tim. By the looks of it, and Nafe's gone off the circuit. Round he goes at turn 7. Does a full 360. Where is Rin? Here he comes. You can see the white Fugu of Nafe getting off the track, but Rin gets himself into the top 10. Will he? Oh, Danzo's gone off. I was about to say, will Danzo get past him? He won't. So the drivers finding this to ultimately be a big challenge. Ruddo and Swargy, two drivers who certainly haven't put a foot wrong, and Swargy actually got fastest lap. Currently 26 flat, while any of the drivers get into the 25s. 16.5 seconds back is Matty Rudd in 3rd, and Bruce Lee's past JPH, or JPH into the gravel. I think JPH with potentially a little error somewhere on track. And Bertus has got in front of Silver Fox Ford. He's gone very deep at turn 3. Loads of fighting going out on circuit at the moment. Difficult to keep on top of it all. But Fordy finds himself back in a striking range to get into that top 6. Hartley and Snow still close together on track. Rin's in the top 10. It'd be a very impressive result for Rin if he could score 10th place in only his 2nd round in the Fugu. Ooh, Nathan very sideways out of turn number 3. Danzo, Tim just cut through the drivers to see how they're getting on. Bruce has just escaped a little bit from JPH, although I have to say his line through the penultimate corner, I should say, wasn't ideal. Oh, JPH sideways through that final corner. Bertus just about hanging on to the car here. 2 minutes and 10 to go. Enough time for another lap and one more for the drivers. You can see Bertus pushing the car almost through the gravel track, willing it on. D. Hartley still there with Snav. Rin still in 10th place. Got Tim in front of him. Sure Tim will move out of the way. Yeah, he moves out of the way. Nice from Tim. Nath trying to close that gap back down to Rin. He wants to get back in the top 10 at least. There's Danzo. Tim we've already come across. Ruddo put in a really good shift, and look at this. This is what I was saying earlier on in the race about how important it is for the drivers to continue having consistency. And look at the lap times on the right hand side from Ruddo. 26s all the way down. Absolutely outstanding. He has one more lap after this one, but it's been a great showing so far. I have to say credit to Swargy. He's been mostly in the 26s as well. Some really good lap times. He's going to be on for another second place in the championship. There's Matty Rudd. Just a little bit wide. That's JPH has got back past Bruce Lee Harding. So in the fight between the family members for 4th position, JPH, the youngster out of the two at the moment, has got himself in front. One more lap to go. There are a couple of overtaking opportunities that the drivers can use and utilise. Whether they'll be able to is another matter. Bertus is back in front of Silver Fox 40. To keep you updated on that one as JPH gets the line a little bit lifting out of the throttle, I think, from JPH there. And we're with Bruce Lee. Oh, JPH in the gravel trap, as is Bruce. They're both desperately pushing each other along. JPH parks his car on the apex through turn 4. He's going to cut back. Sir Bertus has got away from Silver Fox 40 for the meantime. Couple of seconds to go on the clock, so a couple of drivers just coming across the line now. They will get through, so one driver won't. We'll see the checkered flag currently. I'm going to cut forward though to Ruddo any second now, just to see if there's any potential opportunity for Bruce. There won't be. But it's Ruddo 24 who takes another win this series. Great result for him. What a drive. Absolutely brilliant. Swargy will take second place. Matty Rudd, credit where it's due. Good effort from him. He's going to finish 3rd. Will JPH hold on to Bruce Lee? Hold off Bruce Lee Hardin, I should say, as he comes towards the final corner. Bruce Lee tries as much as he can, but he hits the back of JPH. And that's going to be 4th and 5th for these two. Good driving from these two. Really good to watch. Subertus, he's going to come home 6th on his debut in the series. That's a really good effort from him. He'll be very happy with that, the Dutch driver. A personal best on the last lap there. 28 flat. There's Silver Fox 40. He takes 7th. Hartley in 8th. What could have been for him. Snav in 9th. The most exuberant driver award for the race today goes to Nathan. He treats us to a bit more showboating through that penultimate corner. But it's been a really good effort from him. He was unfortunate in his accident with Snav, but that one could be reviewed later on if need be. So Nath will come towards the line. He will finish in 10th position. It's a good start on his championship debut. Tim and Danzo have already seen the checkered flag. And fair credit to Rin. He's going to come home in 11th place. Nice driving from him. But Ruddo 24 is your winner. And he's won all of the races so far this season, of which there have been 3 now. And what a performance from him. Might not have got pole, but he certainly dominated during the race. Really consistent. Ruddo takes the victory. Great effort from him. So we'll have a few minutes to have a little break. The drivers will have a chance to reset themselves for, like I say, a few moments. And then we will return for the 15-minute reverse sprint race, which will see Tim on pole position. Danzo will line up in 2nd. 3rd place will go the way of Rin, and 4th will be Nath. So it'll be interesting to see how those drivers get on with the reverse grid. I'm just going to momentarily mute myself, get a little drink. We're back in a moment. So there we are. Settings updated now, so the drivers will be jumping into their Mini Coopers shortly once the car gets updated. A couple of cars available there that could compete in the lead, but really there's only one car to keep an eye out on in that first round. It's obviously the Fugu. Just a couple of drivers have already jumped into their Minis. Evening to Hirakram. No stranger, of course, is Hirakram to the Thursday night leagues. Multiple champion. Also jump into the Mini, just for the purposes of having that on the screen. And JBH obviously will need to swap his car around. Nafe's gone for the Burns outlook in his Mini. Hopefully there's no issues underneath that. Hopefully it's more cosmetic than anything. See that Silver Fox fully. I like the I said this last week, I do really like Silver Fox's livery. It's really nice. It's sort of, I mean, admittedly, going into the wall at final corners probably not helped the cause of the way his car looks. But I do like that sort of sweeping rainbow-esque livery he's got on the side of his car. It's quite retro, but quite cool at the same time. So that's a point from my perspective for Silver Fox on his livery. I quite like that. It's Hartley as well. Bruce Lee running around with his puppy of slush on the back of his car there. Some brands I won't say out loud for the sake of it. Rin's got his car updated. I quite like that as well, actually. That's really nicely done. Sort of a sun beach motif almost of the classic Pepsi logo. I'm a fan of that. That's really nice. Is Ruddo just getting overtaken by Swargy, which Ruddo will obviously hope doesn't happen during the race. Here comes Bertis. He's obviously gone for a lime green option. No surprise from the Dutch driver. Always likes his liveries. See what it looks like as he comes out of the pits. There we go. Nice little blue sort of etching of the vinyl there. I like his registration plates as well. JPHs we've seen, obviously. Snav needs to swap into his Mini, as does Matty Rudd, and two other drivers still need to enter, so we'll wait for those. The drivers now have a chance to just acquaint themselves with the track. They've only got a couple of minutes to do so, but it's best that they do. I think Swargy really pushing himself actually to chuck the car through that penultimate corner. You're going to see the cars sliding a lot. I think there's going to be the key effort around this track is going to be sliding the car to keep up momentum around Laguna Seca. It's with the Mini being front wheel drive and running on super soft racing tyres, the cars are going to have to try and just keep up that momentum all the way through the lap, and the best way to do that in these Minis is to just slide the car through. We're visiting Goodwood for the final round of the season. I guarantee you're going to see a lot of that there. But this is going to be a little bit of a taster in the middle sector, just to see how the car gets chucked through the corners. It's going to be excellent to watch. But it's going to be a very frantic and busy opening couple of laps. We saw last week at the Red Bull Ring how quickly a car can break off into the distance if they get the chance to. We saw Dee Hartley, you know, get a great start, led into turn one, and he was clear for half the race. He just unfortunately got caught and ended up finishing in fourth position. But he and a bunch of other drivers will be looking for that opportunity early on. With a bigger grid for tonight, with 13 cars, it will be very fascinating to see who adapts the best around this circuit. And 15 minutes, of course, don't forget. See how Ruddo just chucked the car through into the corkscrew there. So Burst is just off the road. Not ideal. Snav just running round. He's happy. He's got his little Betty Swallock's car out. Rin's coming out of the pits. Look at all the drivers who I don't know if they've entered yet. Yeah, Fordy, Tim and Danzo yet to enter, so we'll wait for those as Nath flies off at turn 7. A little bit sideways. Might want to get some... I don't even think T-Cut's going to help Nath with his livery there. to be honest. Quite like the fact as well he's managed to design it so that it looks like his front registration plate is starting to fall off. You can just see it there. It's very well done. Got a good detail in that. Bruce Lee Swargy flying around on track. Well, the minis seem to be very quick around here. Yeah, it's a different type of challenge now. The drivers won't have as much of an issue falling off the track and spinning off. But what they will find that they have is the opportunity of understeering off the track and into the gravel. Or the other option is understeering, putting a wheel in the gravel trap, and off they go flying off. That'll cost them a lot of momentum. If they lose the pack early on as well, that is going to be a huge task for them to try and gain all the time back that they've lost. It's unlikely that it'll happen as well, because oh, that's Tim proving an example of what I've just said. Hitting the curb, hitting the gravel trap with a wheel will send the car flying off the track. Danzo has got his livery. Let's have a look at it if we can see it properly. It's like a black and blue almost, is it? It is indeed. Some sort of electronic type of vinyl going on. But JPH has started the final, so let's see how the drivers get on. And Swargy joins the wall for race 2. So, race 2 then. It's NGR Tim, 78 on the left hand side, Danzo on the front row with him, Rin and Naif line out the second row, and then there's Swargy and Ruddo right at the back of the field. Let's see how they get on. We don't have the camera angles, so let's see who gets the best launch. Revs rise. And we're underway here at Laguna Seca. It's an exceptionally slow start from the front row. D. Hartley's got a good launch though. Watch him move through the field. Rin's up into the lead. It's a great start for Rin. Can he lead going into turn 1? Let's have a look as we approach that corner. We can indeed. Rin has got a great start. He's made up for it, but he gets hit by Snav. Can he keep it on the track? Just about. Silver Fox 40's up to second. There's Snav in third. Hartley with another good start. He's up to fourth, but he's fighting off Bruce Lee Harden, who's had an incredible launch right from the back of the grid. Ninth up to fourth in the space of just 3 corners. Excellent effort from him. Let's get all the camera angles. Fabulous to watch. JPH is back down in 12th. He's been shuffled out at the start. There's Swargy coming through the field. There's D. Hartley up into 5th. Matty Rudd's had a great start. Snav's in 3rd place now. It's all changed. Oh, Snav and Fordy have a good amount of contact going through. Turn 6, not ideal. Not at all fair on Swargy, but Rin leads the way. He makes up for his launch last week at the Red Bull Ring, and he leads going into turn 7. Snav all over the back of him. Then it's Matty Rudd who's looking for an opportunity. Matty Rudd has had an excellent start to this race. He's looking at challenging for the lead up the inside at the corkscrew. He brakes a little bit later. Can he keep it stopped? He does, but Rin gets the momentum. Rin fighting back. Well done to Rin. He keeps the position. Matty Rudd and Rin tapping Dormit. Oh, big slide from Rin, and he loses all that momentum. I just praised him and he loses it. And Snav goes through as well. But Snav flies off the circuit. There's minis all over the track. Matty Rudd then retakes the lead. There's 5 minis all over the circuit. Oh, and Snav hits Rin round. That's a bit naughty, gotta say. A little bit naughty from Snav. Probably should, and he is slowing down for that. He does realise it, so good sportsmanship. But Matty Rudd gets himself into the lead, and 1.4 seconds to the good. And it's D. Hartley, Swargy, Bruce Lee, Ruddo. The fantastic racecraft from these 3 drivers to get themselves up the field. Rin still in 6th place. Snav down to 7th after that. JPH just getting an opportunity running outside of Danzo and Naif and Silver Fox 40. There's Bertus, who haven't actually covered all the way through this, and Tim rounds out the 13. Matty Rudd, oh, he's clamped the curb through turn 4. That's going to cost him a good amount of time. And D. Hartley, once again, D. Hartley with another good start, has just put himself right in the mix. He's been going to go overtaken now by Swargy, which he does do indeed. Hiracram making a comment there saying he's like a nut. It is indeed. Swargy gets through to 2nd. But this is a brilliant train of cars to watch at the moment. And Rin keeping up too. This is no mean feat. And there's Snav, then there's JPH, Naif, Danzo, Fordy. There's about 1 million minis all over the circuit right now. It's fabulous to watch. But Matty Rudd's mistake has dropped him right the way back, and he's made another little error. The gap now down to around 6/10. We have got effectively... Oh, that's Snav. No, it wasn't, rather. It was D. Hartley. See, you can see as well the timing monitors are throwing me out a little bit too because they're not updating quick enough. That's how much action is on circuit right now. Here comes Rin looking at the inside, but he can't quite make it. And that's Snav off the track. Swargy's gone off as well. He was fighting for the lead. So it's all change all over the circuit. No matter where you look, where do you start? Rin now trying to fight for 6th place alongside JPH. D. Hartley went off the road. Swargy went off the road. So it's Ruddo, Bruce Lee and Matty Rudd leading the way, but Matty Rudd's gone wide. So Matty Rudd now having to try and fight back going into turn 3. We should get this move sealed. He does. Oh, Bruce Lee left the door open for Ruddo. But Ruddo couldn't get the momentum he needed. And JPH now up into 4th place. That's a recent change. Oh, JPH was being kind there, but ends up getting forced wide, and he goes from 4th to 6th. Hartley back into 4th position. There's Naif. Rin down to 8th position. Snav, Danzo, Bertus, Tim back up to 12th. And Fordy's gone off somewhere. We haven't seen it, but unfortunately he's dropped down to last place, number 22, as he tries to send one up the inside at turn 6. Great racing. And there we go, fight back on again for 1st place. It's Matty Rudd and Bruce Lee Harden side by side. Will ride on board with Ruddo, who I think has actually hit Matty Rudd off there. I think there's a case for that, really, to be honest with you. Matty Rudd has gone flying off the circuit, and it looked like he was sent there by Ruddo, and maybe my eyes fooled me there for a moment, but Matty Rudd, who had been leading the way, off he goes, down to 7th place. So Bruce Lee Hardin now leads the way, kept his nose clean all the way through that, and has 1st position. Ruddo is 2nd, then there's a huge gap back, almost 4.5 seconds to Ruddo, rather Swargy to Ruddo. D. Hartley in 4th, JPH in 5th, Nathan 6th, Matty Rudd recovering to 7th, Snav in 8th, Rin in 9th position. Meanwhile, there's a fight for 10th place. It's Bertus Danzo renewing their rivalry from a number of seasons ago, and Silver Fox 40 watching these two with great interest. Which one does he go with, the Mini or the Pass Me one? Which one does he go? Oh, a little bit of contact between Bertus and Danzo. They push each other wide, and for Silver Fox gets himself a chance. It's going to go 3 wide here into turn 3. This is going to be awkward for the 3 of them. Danzo chucks it in, mounts the curb, but gets away with it, and he moves into 10th place. Tim right there with everybody as well. There is action all over the circuit as Naif goes sideways through turn 6, and then JPH moves into that position. Matty Rudd has moved back into 5th. Hartley and Swargy have just separated themselves out a little bit. And it's now between Ruddo and Bruce Lee at the front. Incredibly, we're coming up to the halfway point of this race. And Bruce Lee Hardin is putting in a fantabulous performance. But, as we've already seen in this race, it changes exceptionally quickly. So it's far from over yet. As Ruddo got a little bit sideways through the penultimate turn. Swargy there, then it's Hartley, then it's Matty Rudd, then it's JPH. Just settle down a little near the front. Naif in 8th position, then it's Rin, then it's Rin sideways actually, but still great car control. Danzo trying to hold off Bertus in 10th place. Bertus looking to the outside line. Tries to get on the power a little bit earlier, but it looked like he was in the wrong gear. Looked like he was in 1st there instead of 2nd. And there's Fordy. And there's Tim. But still we watch everyone. Fastest lap of the race from Bruce then on that last lap. There's Swargy in 3rd place. You'd think now without a mistake it's going to be difficult for Swargy to catch those 2 in front. There's Hartley. There's Matty Rudd. JPH in 6th. Naif is up the inside, but he's flew off the circuit into the gravel trap. It's good to see Naif's aggressive style back. It's been a long time since we've seen it. Those that haven't watched Naif before, he's certainly not one to throw his car where he wants it to be, and if he picks up a penalty, he takes it in good stead. It's never been one not to. It's good to have that fighter in the championship, which there are many of course. Now he's got a good effort to try and make a lunge going into the corkscrew. Going to be on the outside line for this. He brakes, keeps the car nice and flat. Can he go around the outside of the corkscrew? Not quite. He jumps into the gravel trap. He might pick up a penalty for that as well. He's going a little bit quicker on this up, and there you go. There's the penalty. So Nath trying to clear his penalty, actually. He's getting a bit annoyed because he's slowed down and lost more than 4/10 to Snav, but it hasn't quite cleared for him. So he has to try and deal with that too. Rin's still in 9th place, putting in a good shift. Bertus putting in a good effort at the beach briefly then. Tim's up to 11th. That's a good effort from Tim. There's Silver Fox 40, and Danzo's all the way down in 13th place. I wonder what happened. He's gone flying off the track. But the fight at the front is now starting to come back to Ruddo. This is the main event currently out on track. Oh, someone's gone off. It's JPH. I thought it was. I saw a car. Someone else has gone off there as well. I've just seen that it was Rin. JPH was in a very comfortable 6th place. Now he's fallen off the track. And he's got Rin all over the back of him. Rin with all the momentum in the world that he needs to go up the inside and take 8th place. A great effort from him, and he stops JPH from getting through. They have to sit there for the time being. Bruce Lee. 5 minutes to go. Should be enough time for the drivers to get a couple of laps in at least. Oh, lovely car control from Bruce, but it's cost him a bit of time. Ruddo did exactly the same thing. Both costing themselves just a bit of momentum around this circuit. Ruddo just in the slipstream. We saw last week the Red Bull Ring. Slipstream is very powerful in these minis. Not exactly aerodynamic. Look at Ruddo tries to dart to the outside line. This is an opportunity for Ruddo. He can't get through. Let's see how Ruddo and Bruce Lee trying to find themselves out as Bruce Lee goes a little bit deep into turn 3. Chuck the cars through turn number 4. Little kink at 5 before they go to turn 6. Will Ruddo potentially look at an opportunity here into turn 6? He doesn't. Bruce Lee's momentum just enough to keep him in front for the time being. Number 24 putting pressure on the number 69. See, sometimes Bruce turns in a little earlier. There's different driving styles between Ruddo and Bruce Lee. You see that Ruddo tends to take a later turn into the corner compared to Bruce, but it's both working for them. It's certainly easier for them to drive around the track and use those different driving styles. So fair play to them, putting in a great show. Swargy, Matty Rudd, D Hartley, there's a bunch of gaps opened out on circuit now. Rin and Subertis and Silver Fox 40 and Tim, currently these guys all fighting for a position in the top 10. And Bertus running around in 9th place. We're just going to cut back to the fight for the lead. Ruddo once again right on board. Come towards turn 2. Oh, Bruce just teasing the inside line. And I actually worked for him that. Stopped Ruddo from making a lunge. It was just awkward enough for it to go wrong for Ruddo. He backed out of that. You can tell Ruddo wants to make it 4 wins from 4, 2 in each class. But Bruce Lee won't go down lightly. He's a very good defensive driver. Look at how far over the circuit Bruce went to try and defend that line. It's great racing in these minis. Ruddo just loses a touch of momentum. He's there. There's D Hartley in 5th place. Snav 6th. Nath 7th. JPH in 8th. There's Subertis, Rin and Fordy all together on circuit. After the frantic start, these three find themselves together. Tim could be on his way to 12th place. Let's see how he gets on. There will be 2 laps remaining for Bruce Lee and Ruddo to settle these positions. See Swargy just coming round the penultimate corner. A little bit wide from Bruce Lee. A lot wider than he'd done before. This is going to give Ruddo the clearest shot at looking at the inside line. Will he do so? He actually hits the back of Bruce. Not what he intended. There's a little gap, is there? But he can't make that lunge. Bruce Lee just teasing the opening of the gap there. But he can't find his way through, can Ruddo. A minute and 30 to go. Drivers at the moment, they might have, these two might actually have enough time for another lap. There's a comment from Jainio saying, are there two classes? 2 races, but 3 different championship tables. I'll explain in a little. Because these two are fighting really hard. And that is the opening that Ruddo could need. Is he got enough momentum to try and draw alongside into turn 7? No, he doesn't. He sits behind again. Bruce Lee defending for all he's worth. Everybody else in the tops. Well, I was going to say that, but Nath has been caught by JPH. A mistake from Nath somewhere just brought him onto the back of the rusty car in front. There's Bertus, there's Fordy, there's Tim, who's got in front of Rin. So Rin's made a mistake somewhere on this lap. Danzo back there in 12th place, but look how close these two are now. One more lap to go. Bruce on the inside. Ruddo having to slow down. Think he had to serve a little penalty potentially. Not quite certain, but he's got a good run coming out of the final corner. We're going on to the final lap. This is where it's at for the two mini drivers. It will come down to this last couple of miles to settle this race. Swargy will also get another lap in, as will Matty Rudd and D Hartley, by the looks of it. And everybody else will see the checkered flag. There we go. So it will be Snav first. Nath will hold on from JPH. We just look through. There shouldn't be any more changes, so we can focus on these two. So Bruce Lee Harding still leading the way. Ruddo there in second position. Swargy has been catching these two recently, but he's not close enough to affect this. Ruddo trying to make a little look at turn 6. Not quite there. Keeps it nice and tight though. Through the corner. Gets a lovely exit. Will he be able to make a lunge into turn 7? What will Bruce Lee do? Will he try and feint? He doesn't. Feint a little lunge. Oh, but Bruce Lee's gone a little bit sideways through turn 7. This is the chance for Ruddo. It's going to go side by side up towards the corkscrew. It was one opportunity. Ruddo goes through, closes the door. Bruce trying to go around the outside. Is there a chance for Bruce to try and fight back? We're coming towards Rainy Curve now. This is an opportunity to go round the outside and set it up for the penultimate corner, which is exactly what he's doing. He's going to be on the outside for second to last corner. Can he hang it around the outside line? He can't. He's going to have to make one huge lunge into the final corner, which he doesn't get right. He hits the back of Ruddo. And sure enough, I think Bruce Lee's going to probably let that one go. He is indeed. It's going to be Ruddo then who takes the victory here at Laguna Seca. Bruce Lee is second. Great racing between those two. Swargy will take third. He almost caught them on the final lap. A new fastest lap there from him. And look at D Hartley and Matty Rudd. Who's going to get the momentum out the final corner? Matty Rudd has 4th, but does he have the run? It looks like he does, just about. So it'll be Matty Rudd who takes 4th at the final corner, as does D Hartley in 5th. Snav, Nath, JPH, Bertus and Fordy with Tim, Danzo and Rin. What a final race of the evening that was. Absolutely outstanding. What a battle that was in the end. That was really good fun. Really excellent to watch. But it was Ruddo, the final lap, his one opportunity he needed. He just snuck underneath Bruce Lee and that was it. The victory went his way. Unlucky for Bruce, but there's still another podium to add to his collection on Thursday nights. Swargy took 3rd. He was unlucky. You know, he had the pace and he was almost caught up right at the end, but it wasn't to be for him. And Tim also, great result for him, his best result of the season in terms of the pack. He didn't finish last, which is great news, really good to see. Rin also put a good effort in. He finished last in the end, but again, momentum for the drivers to develop themselves in the cars, get themselves used to it. That's what it's all about. We'll find the pace, then find the consistency. But really, really good racing. Janio just putting a comment in there saying, good racing, lads, great defence. Bruce put mega patience from Sai. Absolutely was. So, that is it then for tonight's racing. We had the first race in the Fugus, the Greddy Fugus, of course. Great cars to watch those in. Ruddo won that race. Then we had the minis just now, and Ruddo snatched it on the final lap, only a couple of corners away from home. He took the race win there. He leads both for the individual championships and the overall championship as well. That is very fascinating to see. If anyone could challenge him for next week's race, round 3 will be at Tsukuba Race Circuit in Japan, within that wonderful country and a wonderful circuit with a lot of tight racing, no doubt, and one that will be very fascinating to see how the minis get on around there, and of course with the Fugus with all that power. But from me, JackTM53 Synopsis, thank you very much for watching. If you haven't done so already, please do give me a follow on Twitch and subscribe on YouTube as well. Follow NXTGEN on all of their social media channels and platforms on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Discord, and of course on the website to find out more information about any other leagues that will be upcoming in the coming weeks and months, not just on console but on PC as well. But from me and the Greddy Cooper Z League, that's it for tonight, and wherever you might be in the big wide world, have a good one, and see you soon.